The NFL's two best teams are about to collide. Hurts, he's sneaked, he's pushed, and he's in. Touchdown. Back goes Mahomes. He's looking. It's intercepted. Down the far side is the Gene. Is in for a touchdown.
Happy birthday, kid.
Mahomes is back. He fires over the middle, and it's intercepted again. And the Eagles are in scoring position again. He's looking. He fires. He completes it. Touchdown.
This offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs flat out cannot block the Eagles' pressure.
Having this vision of just being the best that I can be, and that evolving over time into this desire and this flame inside to win.
The Philadelphia Eagles have won Super Bowl 59.
History is going to show the final score of this game was 40-22. That does in no way justice to how one-sided it was. Dominique Foxworth tweeted, he plays more like DeGene Cooper. Explain your tweet.
What does this mean?
I mean, he probably would have really enjoyed the halftime show. That's all. I think that man was balling. I've been a fan since he was a sophomore in Iowa, a super athlete. They still won't let him play on the edge. I want justice for Cooper. Let him play outside. But he's an incredible athlete.
Yes,
I've been watching him play since he was a sophomore in Iowa. He's outstanding at making plays, especially when he has the ball in the hands. I really love him as a corner, and I'm glad nobody forced him to play safety, which is what I expected them to do.
As a punt returner, he was Iowa's best offensive weapon. And Lewis, I remember you and I talking at the draft that we were stunned he dropped out of the first round, and that they were able to take both Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean that night. And quite frankly, a lot of the credit this morning belongs there with Howie Roseman and the way that they reconstructed this team. But we have spent basically the first 20 minutes of this show talking about the Eagles' defense, and I think rightly so. That was the story. We have not yet gotten to the offense and the MVP of this game, which was Jalen Hurts. Rex, did he prove anything to you last night?
Not to me, Greeny. I mean, shoot, I tell you where he proved something to me was the last Super Bowl. He was the best player on the field the last Super Bowl. I think people forget that. Like, this is a man, look, we all see a guy that, you know, when he's on rhythm, this guy can absolutely tag it. The other thing is he's got halfback skills at the quarterback position. I think he's a big-time player. And, I mean, no, I saw it the last, like 3 years ago when he was in the Super Bowl, when he dominated that game. So, no, he proved absolutely nothing to me. All he did was play exactly how he did the last Super Bowl.
2 years ago, 2 years ago Wednesday was the first matchup between these two teams. Walking off that field, Lewis, I think we all felt like Jalen Hurts is the next superstar in the NFL. It's been sort of a circuitous route from that moment to this.
Exactly. Look, there's been some ups and downs since that last game, okay? And he has dealt with some injury. He's had a lot of question about whether or not he's a guy who, if you put the entire offense on his back, can he answer the bell? That's what Steve Spagnuolo wanted him to do. He wanted to prove that game, the last time that they played, wasn't a fluke. Can you do it again? And look, that was the right approach to take. And you know what Jalen Hurts did? I'll tell you what he did prove to me. He has uncommon resilience. He has uncommon mental strength and ability to focus and not listen to what anybody says about doubting him, where he can't throw the ball here. He can't, get through 2 and 3 progressions. Last night, we were sitting there watching him. Now, he wasn't under a lot of duress, but you're sitting there going, they're taking away his number one, and he's finding number two. He's finding number three. He made one mistake in that game. One. And they tricked him. Exactly. They tricked him. And he didn't make another mistake the rest of the night. So, what he proved to me is that he's got super high football IQ, and he doesn't listen to anything that any of us have to say about him.
I thought Jalen Hurts was sensational. I thought his two best games have been the two most important games, the NFC Championship game and then last night. I thought he proved a lot of doubters wrong, myself included. He told a lot of us, again, myself included, shut up. And I think what's been undervalued, his growth at the line of scrimmage and his ability to get them in and out of plays. I mean, he sees the pressure coming from the top of the screen. He changes the play. Now, I want you guys to look at the defensive ends. One up top has his hand in the ground. One is standing up. Indicator that the one standing up is going to be the dropper. He knows the pressure is coming. Great block by Saquon Barkley. It's one-on-one, and Jalen Hurts has proven if you give him one-on-one downfield outside the numbers, he's about as accurate as anybody in football. Third down. Watch the motion by Devontae Smith. Defensive guys, you know this. You motion, we motion, you don't adjust. We know it's zone coverage. Now that ball has to come out of time right now. He's throwing the ball before Devontae's out of his break. That's in complete control. Ball's out in that soft spot. First down. Motion comes again. That safety's going to drop down. That indicates to the quarterback, I'm expecting man coverage. Jalen is going to give a trigger signal to A.J. Brown of like, hey, I want you to run the go route. We've seen the ball over the top. When he makes this throw, the corner's actually on top of A.J. Brown. That's why you got that back shoulder fade. And then the beautiful touchdown pass to Devontae Smith to basically seal the game was sensational. Look how quickly they break the pocket. This is a beautiful job by Kellen Moore. He understands, like, oh, the defense has blown the coverage. Ball goes to the right place at the right time. Listen, I got to give Jalen Hurts his flowers, man. He was sensational last night. Lewis said it. He had one bad play.
Dominique, I was just reminded as we were going through it, sometimes we go back to the origin story, if you will. He was drafted the same year as Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa and Justin Herbert and Jordan Love, each of whom at different moments in time have gotten a lot more credit for anything than he has gotten. And yet of that group, of that draft class, he's the first one with that ring.
Do what needs to be done when it needs to be done. And I think the thing that was most impressive about him is the cool, the comfort, the confidence that he always seems to play with no matter what happens. And even after the game, he's still completely under control and composed. Like, I might have lost my mind yelling at the camera to tell everybody to go do things to themselves because you doubted me. So it was incredible. And I would say also that what made it even more impressive is that the way that I thought this would play out is if Jalen would have an incredible game if the Chiefs overcommitted to stop the run. They did not. They played a lot of middle field open coverages, and he still ate them up. They did play more man than I would have anticipated, but to Lewis's point, he was reading through coverages. He wasn't under a bunch of pressure, but he was reading through coverages, taking what was allowed to him, and it was a sensational game, I think is the right word.
So he gets the win. Back on Get Up from New Orleans, Super Bowl superlatives. Let's go. Teddy, what was the biggest surprise to you last night?
The score? I would say score. I mean, guys, I didn't think a fold like this was possible in terms of the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, I picked the Chiefs. I thought it'd be a lot closer. I thought I'd be inside the 3 minutes. You know, here we go. What are we going to do here? But this was absolute domination from start to finish. Very surprising to me.
Rex, what was the biggest disappointment last night?
The score? No, I mean, come on, man. Kansas City had a reckless game plan. How do you go against this kind of pass rush without running the football, throwing screens? They had one screen in the first half. They had 3 rushing attempts. Absolutely awful game plan. And Andy Reid's one of the best of all time, but this is going to be probably his worst moment as far as a coach.
Patrick Mahomes had a QBR of 1 in the first half. Hey, Danny, what was the best performance of Super Bowl 59?
Yeah, there's Jalen Hurts. If you told Kansas City, hey, you're going to shut down Saquon Barkley and get into a bunch of 3rd and longs, advantage Kansas City. And they challenged and dared Jalen Hurts to throw the football well against them to win the Super Bowl. He did that and more. He was absolutely sensational last night. And for him to be as clinical as he was, changing plays, the ball placement, the throws down the field, it was a sensational performance in another Super Bowl for Jalen Hurts. You got to give him credit.
So, Teddy, we did 4 hours from the stadium yesterday of Sunday Countdown, postseason NFL Countdown. And one of the things I was trying to get at a lot of the week, and particularly with you, was the weight of history of this game. The Eagles were there to win a championship. The Chiefs were there to do something that had never been done. And you know a little bit about that. And whether that had an impact on the Chiefs or not, I guess we'll never know. But it had an impact on the Eagles. I want to read you these quotes from Brandon Graham when he said that all the talk about the three-peat was, quote, that was motivation because it was a slap in the face to us. It was like they ain't seen us yet. We heard that all week. And then defensive tackle Milton Williams said they were talking about getting the copyright and all that BS. Well, you can throw that blank in the trash. So clearly, what impact it had on the Chiefs, we don't know, but it had an impact on the Eagles.
Yeah, it's just deja vu to me in terms of that New York Giant team that was so highly motivated to beat us in 2007. I mean, this is payback also from a couple years ago. This was the ultimate payback in terms of not only are we going to beat you, I mean, we're going to stop you in a way no one else could do in the past couple years that could stop you in terms of the train's got to stop right now, and it's going to be the team that's from Philadelphia.
I'm going to use a word, Lewis, and this might be the wrong word to describe it. It looked to me like Philadelphia had especially on the defensive side, an arrogant game plan. It was, you can't stop us. Like, we're going to just do what we do. We're not trying to trick you. We are bigger than you are. We are stronger than you are. We are better than you are. And we're just going to we're just going to beat the hell out of you. And that's what they did. I don't know if arrogant is the right word, but that's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, they had a unwavering self-belief that that's all it was going to take. Like, I had a former teammate of mine who's coaching now in the league. He texted me before the game, and he said, Lou, look, I know who you picked. I know how you believe in Patrick Mahomes and how you believe in Andy, but we played this football team. We played Philly. This is a bad matchup for Kansas City. He said their defensive line, it's a bad matchup for an offensive line that made 2 moves to fix one position and put a guy at guard out there at tackle. And he said, look, I'm telling you, this is not going to end well for them because they are just mean and they're nasty on both sides of the ball. And it just played out that way. And you're right. I think Vic Fangio said, look, we don't need to do anything special. We're just simply better than you. And look, football, that's what football's about. Right, that's what football's about. And you know, early on in that game, if you're Vic Fangio and you're sitting up there in the box and you know how he leans over and he's looking down there at the field, he's going, I don't need to send any more. 4 is going to get it done tonight, folks. And we'll keep 7 in coverage. We're good.
Rex, you called, I don't even know how many thousands of defensive plays in your life as a coordinator and as a head coach. Did you ever have a game where you sent 0 blitzes?
Oh, not that guy.
Not the first 3 plays. But the difference is I never had a pass rush like these guys.
Right.
So if I had 4, if you can get there rushing 4, you do that. Hell, we'd all do that, right?
Right.
You would sign up for that in a minute. No, I always felt that I needed it was important to hit the quarterback.
Right.
Okay? If that meant, if I can't get there with 4, I get there with 5. Can't get there with 5, get there with 6. That's how important it is. And they did it with 4, and they did it all night long.
I still remain adamant. I mean, I'm only 41. It's for me, it's the most shocking Super Bowl I've ever witnessed. I mean, again, this team in Kansas City was going for a 3-peat. They have 5 Hall of Famers attached to doing that. They had realistically 1 loss this season. Guys, they didn't get a first down on their first 8 third down attempts. The ball didn't go past midfield the first 3 quarters. They had given up more sacks than first downs acquired. For a team that was going for history, it's not that they lost. It's not like, oh my goodness, a game-winning field goal. They got absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, I'm a little shell-shocked from 07, but like you're saying, this beatdown.
A beatdown. More than you guys ever happened to them.
In 07, you got beat because the ball stuck to David Tyree's helmet.
Correct.
And that was a very close game.
I'm with you, Dan.
This game was over. I turned to my wife, I said, this game is over.
20 minutes into it.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I thought it was over after it was 10-0, and then they had the back-to-back sack.
Right.
My game. Yep. And it would look that might as well, that scoreboard at that time, it might as well have been 50-0.
Yep.
That's kind of how the feeling was. Remind me of the old Bears when they beat the hell out of New England. Like, there was no way they could have played that thing forever. But I'm just telling you, I said it all year long, though, that this is not the same Kansas City Chiefs team. It wasn't. It wasn't all season. They don't win by knockout, and it matters. Yeah. The only thing that surprises me is they never got bounced in the first round.
Yeah, we're always
point differential, Teddy. We know you love the point differential conversation.
Come on, man. They're in the Super Bowl. Okay,
yeah, they are.
We all think situationally when we're watching football games, and the situation for me was trying to get the double up before the half. The Hopkins drop. The Hopkins drop, because say you get 3 out of that. Then you say you might have scored, but say it was just 3.
Sure.
Then you get the ball, and then maybe you score there. That's how the comeback should have been sort of orchestrated, but that didn't happen, and then to not have points going into the second half. This is it here, all right? The situation in terms of, all right, get anything before half. Right here, you're going at least to the 30-yard line. Maybe you get a kick, maybe a score. But this right here, this is when I thought, man, this is
if you ever wondered why, when you watch Senior Bowl practices, when you watch the combine, if you ever wonder why defensive coaches or coaches in general, and Rex knows this from going down to the Senior Bowl, why whenever there's one-on-one pass rush, and whenever there's inside run drill, every single person from every organization is huddled around that group.
That's real.
It's because of what you just saw on the field last night. Because they know that's where games are won and lost at the biggest moments. You better have big dudes. You better have guys who can close out games and or protect your passer from getting closed out. Because look, we all play fantasy football in some form or fashion. We love the wide receivers. We love Saquon Barkley. We love quarterbacks. The big dudes, bro.
Yeah, man.
That's what NFL teams, that's what front offices are focusing their time on. And Philadelphia has more of them right now than anyone. Yeah. They have more of them than anyone. The only other team that you think about up front that plays with that kind of physicality and ferocity to me is Baltimore. They have the same kind of people, but they just couldn't get it done against Baltimore. But Philly right now, they've got the market cornered. They know how to do it up front. And you better find out a way to get yourself a Jordan Mailata and a Milton Williams and a Jalen Carter, because if you don't, they're just going to run you right out of the stage.
And we're showing Joe Tooney get worked here during the game, but I still got to give Joe Tooney love in terms of this is like one of the best players they have.
Of course.
Save their yes, I was
they're not in that game without Joe Tooney.
Absolutely.
And let's give credit also to Howie Roseman. You just mentioned Jordan Mailata. He was a rugby player. He was a 7th-round draft pick. How many times do we see teams take a flyer on a track and field guy or whatever? It turns out to be nothing. He winds up being maybe the best left tackle in the sport. Zach Bond was on the New Orleans practice squad. Now he's a first-team All-Pro. Mekhi Becton was a bust on the Jets. Now he's a great guard. The world didn't want Saquon Barkley because you don't want to pay running backs. They paid Saquon Barkley, and he's the most important player in the league.
I always like to break it down in the three layers when you're talking about building a team, right? There's the scouting part, there's the acquiring part, then there's the development and utilization part. They have nailed all three. And the development and utilization part is exactly what you're talking about right now. The reason why they can do that with a guy like Jordan Mailata, because Jeff Stoutland is a Hall of Fame offensive line coach. The reason why they can do that with these defensive players is because Vic Fangio is a Hall of Fame defensive coordinator. All three levels, you scout them, then you put a value on them and acquire them, and then you develop them and utilize them. They are nailing it on all three levels.
Stoutland will be back. Fangio will be back.
I say this. I don't think it's hyperbole. I think it's the best organization in football right now. And that's with all due respect to what Kansas City has accomplished. This goes back years ago. I mean, remember, Doug Peterson moves on from Doug Peterson shortly after winning a Super Bowl. They pay Carson Wentz. Then they decide to draft Jalen Hurts. Then they trade Carson Wentz and just this acquisition of talent. And we talked about his last 4 drafts. The first 3 rounds, he's hit on all of those picks. And so this is an organization right now that is clockwork. And you've talked about it, Greeny, a little bit of, well, the addition of Saquon Barkley, the trade for A.J. Brown, the acquisition of Zach Bond. Right now, it's as well-run an organization as anybody in the NFL.
We did talk about this 2 years ago, too. Remember, now, Kansas City had a bunch of young guys in the secondary 2 years ago when they beat Philly in the Super Bowl. Well, look, Brett Veach has done some work down in Kansas City, too, but he's been one-upped right now. They got to get back to work because Philly has pulled ahead of them.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just the way the league goes.
They were going to fire Sirianni at the end of last season. Think about that.
Yeah.
And thank God for Howie Roseman, for Philly fans, to not do it.
No, they brought in the coordinators, Kellen Moore, who made himself a head coach, and Vic Fangio, who, I don't know, made himself a legend with the performance that he had. As we continue, Mahomes.
How's it going, everybody? Villa Sports Network here. Just want to thank you guys for your support on the channel. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you all enjoyed it. I also want to kind of remind you to don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on the video if you like as well. But regardless of the fact, thank you again for your support, and hope to see you on the next video.